Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm very happy to have you here today. I'm Dr. Luria Funu. I'm a CEO and founder of Dare to Dream for Africa that is hosting this event, this expert talk event. Yes, Chris, can you hear me? I can see someone has a hand raised. Okay. So I was saying that this is the expert talk event, the first of the year, normally close to the community of Elite Research Accelerator, but because we want you to benefit from this knowledge, we are opening it to you, but the event is not going to be shared later on. So this is your unique chance to interact with Dr. Gildas Onmanu and also learn from his perspective of the APTI Philo. So before we go deep in this presentation, let me first introduce you to our special guest today. Our expert today is Dr. Gildas Manu. I hope I pronounced it well. Dr.
That's all
Gildas
right.
Manu is an
Yeah,
assistant professor of microbial genomics at the University of Copenhagen in Denmark. He's also a lecturer and researcher at UMAFA, University of Abomey-Calavi in Benin. And finally, is an APTI Fellow at the National Institute of Health, NIH, in US. He has nearly a decade of experience and he applies advanced genomics and metagenomics to study antimicrobial resistance and transmission dynamic of climate-sensitive pathogens, as well as pathogens of One Health interest in LMICs across Africa, Asia, and South America. He has successfully secured and managed individual and collaborative grants from GPIMR, the European Union Commission, EDRC from Canada, IFS from Sweden, Danida from Denmark, ECMID, and the NIH Gate Foundation Fellowship that is currently undertaking. His current interests span implementation research, focusing on developing machine learning-based, community-led early warning system to prevent climate-sensitive waterborne disease outbreaks in Benin while strengthening local capacity in computational biology. Gildas has authored over 40 peer-reviewed publications with an H-index of 20. Thank you so much, Gildas, for joining us again today and for sharing your broad knowledge about APTI Fellowship, which is one of the prestigious fellowship actually for postdoc, because in Africa, I think they're taking 10 out of the whole Africa, 10 candidates only. So you can imagine that is something that is highly competitive. So over to you, Gildas.
thank you. Nice. Thanks a lot for having me. And apologies for the some technical issues falling back. And I hope you can see my screen now, right? That
Yes, you
is
can see.
good. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the introduction and for inviting me on your yeah, as Dr. Luria said, I'm from West Africa, right? And I've spent quite a lot of my time in Denmark in the recent years, and I'm currently working from the NIH. And I'll be first of all, disclaimer, I'm a little bit sick. I came back from California the other night and I came back super sick. So I'll be sniffling a little bit, but that should be fine. So of course the talk is mainly about APTI, but I try to make it a little bit beyond APTI because APTI, the APTI program, I think has ended probably, but there are other programs under the umbrella of the AAS, the African Academy of Sciences, and those should be coming up, and therefore whatever lessons we learn from APTI or of what I will be discussing with you here will be applied and going to be very much useful for any other fellowship that you guys can come across out there. So I'm thinking in knowledge, I think most of the people in the Zoom here are people that are interested in applying for grants into the future. So this will be very probably useful for them into the future. So, I mean, the outline is very simple. There's nothing more I'll say about me that Gloria hasn't introduced. I'll give you some quick, how do we identify the good fellowships? Which ones are good to go for, and which one do we need according to our stage where we are currently in our progress? That is very, very important. And I'll make sure I end it with some testimonials from other APTI fellows. So I'm not going to be the only person speaking. They won't be here speaking, but they have sent me stuff that I'll share with you. So it'll be more like some quotes from other fellows. Probably those can be insightful and can inspire you in your journey when you're applying for fellowships. So to make it simple, well, who am I? Like someone said that I'm a end-to-end kind of person. So you'll see me doing a lot of field work because I design most of my studies myself. So I do the field work myself, I do the wet lab, and I do the dry lab. And when I say I do the dry lab, I'm talking both analysis, but also I also build computers. So naturally I'm a gamer. I do play a lot of games, so video games. So I've over the years been able to take different GPUs, take some graphic cards from other computers, make a computer up. So I do some fun stuff and to then juggle, prepare my own sequences. I'm not an engineer, but I do a lot of fun stuff in my spare time. So yeah, so I'm an end-to-end kind of scientist, but my interest is always around environmental health, basically. So as an African, and we all probably are in this call, when you finish your PhD or by the time you're finishing your PhD, the next question is what next? And I would say in today's world, I would advise you to definitely go for the industry and make some money. but in the meantime, I know there are a couple of people who definitely want or are made to do science, like to be researchers. And for you to be able to do that successfully, you definitely need to it's like you need to be in the pool of people who are like people that you can compare yourself with or that you can work with and learn from. So this will require you sometimes to move outside your comfort zone, and that includes moving out of the country and therefore applying for some grants. If you're lucky that you can get a grant and work from home, that is good, but it's always preferable after a PhD to have at least 1 or 2 years abroad, somewhere else outside of your lab, learn something new, and then return. Now, this is where it gets complicated. Between that desire of wanting to learn outside and coming back home, then the issue of brain drain comes in, because most of the fellowships that you're going to find out there are designed like traps. They offer you something very prestigious, you go for it, and then you never return. And it is not your fault, because when you're as you say in French, the plateau technique, it's like the way is so smooth, everything goes well. You're learning well, you're developing, like your curve is like this. Everything works fine for you, and there's no reason clearly for you to go back to your home institution where you know it is very difficult. People are I'm not gonna insinuate anything, but you feel like people are not like playing to your advantage at home. There's nothing to really go back to. Things are hard. There is always like the whole jagba thing, if I'm use that Nigerian words. So you may fall into that trap where you find yourself outside and wish to go back, and you keep postponing it. Oh, I would love to go back, but you never make it. One of the few fellowships out there that are able to help you go outside is the APTI. APTI program, I don't know if there are other programs like this, but I think so far that is the only program that gives you this option of a reintegration fund, where you do your research, you go through the training while you're abroad, and then you get some extra funding to go back to your home country and do more, and you're able to see your own research group and an independent research career. Most of the time, if you look at other fellowships that are listed abroad, which you know of, most of them are very, very donors, and you have to do a lot of great research with them. Some of them, I think, for example, the Marie Curie, Loria knows best about that. They also have some management options where you are able to do some stuff from home. I think TWAS, this one down here, the World Academy of Sciences, They do have some reintegration funds for people who have studied their PhD abroad to the research career in home country. Otherwise, most of the fellowships out there are very much, as I said, like a trap for brain drain. And especially when you're in a field like mine, which is more like computational biology and then bioinformatics, which evolves very, very, you'll find yourself like you can't go home because you unlearn because everything new every day. There's something new coming up, and you really want to be at the top of your game. And if you really have that desire, you might not go home, but we want you to go home. And to be able to go home, you need some fellowship that can help you with the moving back. And then while you're home, you now start applying for actual grants. So there's a time for fellowship, and then there's a time for grants. You don't go on fellowships forever, right? So one of the things that you need for any fellowship out there is to build your own profile. There is a war going on. I call it war, but these are school of thoughts. Some people who think you can be silent professionals. So you have those people who are very, very skilled, but they don't advocate for themselves. You go on their LinkedIn profile, it's very quiet. But these are very hardcore, very, very professionals. And then you have those who are equally qualified, but are also very good at speaking out for themselves. Now, what people don't understand is there is this old saying that empty vessels make a lot of noise, but it's not true. Some people would think that it is for the fact that you're very outspoken, that you're advocating for yourself, you're advertising, or you're publishing what you do or publicizing what you do. Therefore, you must not have any substance, but that's not any further than the truth. What I'm advising you, if you're on the call today and you are the silent type, I will advise you to be transition to, I'm not asking you to become a social media expert, but you really need to start doing more outreach. It is for your own benefit, because most of the things nowadays are happening through social media. That's where people find each other. It's just like speed dating, but for academic career or for professional life. So first of all, wherever you are currently in your level, get into collaboration with whether it's some students or your peers, start getting some papers out. And I said mainly you need to prioritize quality over quantity, but that is up to you. It depends on the system you're in. Start getting some papers published. Try to learn more of field, because in every discipline we need to skilled. Like you, it's good to be the jack of all trades, but it's also good to be a master of some, right? So you really need to go deeper and be a specialist of your field and sit and make sure you have some great mentors, but at the same time, make sure you have mentees as well, right? You need to have people that you're dragging out as you're lifting yourself, as you're going up, try lifting others. And that is what I will tell you. So you really need to build a strong profile, and that does not eliminate the fact that if you're a good professional, you shouldn't communicate. You really need to communicate and your skills so with other people. It's very important. Now, to the core of the topic, I don't have many slides. I really wanted this to be a one-on-one conversation, so I'll go through the slides quickly and then we can talk, right? When it comes to the application, and this goes both for the APTI program, but also for any other fellowship out there, one thing is to read the application. So in my own case, which is very atypical, I saw the core. No, I first learned about this through ARISE. There was a program by AAS, the African Academy of Sciences, called ARISE. I went through the website, read a little bit of it. I couldn't apply because I was late at the time. By the time I saw it, then that is when I subscribed to most of the AAS social media to monitor the next call. And then the next call that came in was the APTI program. I read it. I found myself eligible, so I gave it a shot. But if I wanted to be honest, at the time of application to the APTI, I was also in the process of finishing my postdoc at the University of Copenhagen. And then I was going through the assistant professorship validation period. So I needed to take some university pedagogy courses. I needed to pass inspections. I had some people from the Department of Education coming during my lectures in Copenhagen. So it was tough. It was a year, and I really wanted to get on that track because that is this before getting a tenure track in university. But when I finally got the APTI, I didn't hesitate to my employment because I this interesting that I'm to move out of Denmark for a while, learn something new, and return to my home country because this gives me the opportunity of going to settle in Benin with our existing group under Prof. Victorien and do something more country-oriented rather than simply doing hardcore science that I was good at, but I don't think that is impactful enough for me, right? So first you need to read the call like any other call. And as you will see in some of the testimonials later in the presentation, you're definitely gonna need to align your goals with the goal of the call. It's not because you're desperate, therefore, whenever there is a call, you just go for it. I think some people do that, but I don't not advise you, sorry, to go for that way. I think the best way is when there is a call, you need to align the goals of the call with your goals. If your goals hit it, then go for it. Then start writing. You also need to optimize your CV, and that is the importance of the previous slide where I said you need a strong profile. Your own profile comes in. So in APTI, for example, there are two key documents. Your CV plays a big role, and then your expression of interest. And the expression of interest here is like the proposal document. So this is the trick. So the APTI will not ask you for a clear proposal. They ask you for an expression of interest. But in another way, they are asking for your concept notes. So if you make the mistake and write the expression of interest as a standard motivation letter or like a cover letter, then you miss it, right? So you need to know this expression of interest is actually your concept note or your proposal. So you really give your A game. In other fellowships, it might be clear, the language will be clear, like this is proposal or concept note. So just know that. And you need to be very, very on what you're writing. But in like APTI, where you need to go back home, one thing that they want to see is your plan for the going back home phase. That is very important for them. So if you come across any other fellowship, if there's no APTI, but there are other fellowships like this, you need to put a strong emphasis on that. So that you need to showcase, this is what I want to learn during my training phase, and this is how I want to apply it at home, and this is the plan for going home, or at least show a path to impact so they can clearly see that this is who you are and this is what you're planning to do when you go back home, and how this will therefore benefit your country or your region. It doesn't have to be your own home country. It could be the country where you do your research. I mean, I have a very brilliant colleague in Aptitude who works in another country, but also within Africa. And that is her home institution. And that is, so that therefore she needs to be someone like that needs to be very, very on how they're doing as research benefits the country that they're relocating back into on the continent, of course. I will jump a few things and then go to the interview stage if you make it there. And that is our plan, that you hopefully make it to the interview stage. So keep in mind while you're doing the first application stage that the CV, recommendation letters, I did not emphasize on that earlier. Your CV, your recommendation letters, and expression of interest or your proposal are the key things that you're competing with without your own face, right? Against a pool of very brilliant Africans of different levels of experience. So you be PhD +2 at the time of application, but you're fighting against, or you're competing against someone who is PhD +5, who might have more publications. I don't know, it's just a case. Or PhD +4 competing against someone that is PhD +2, but that person who is PhD +2 had a very long career path. Like these are people who have been in research for more than 20 years without a PhD. And then they finally decide to do the PhD. Therefore, when you see PhD plus 2, you might think you're more experienced than them, but you're not. You're wrong, right? So it's happened that they have just completed officially the PhD, but these are people who have been in research for a while. So, and can be shown in their CVs, and the evaluators can see it. So even though you are PhD plus 4 at the time of application, someone with PhD plus 2 has more experience. So you really need to give it your A game. And when you come to the interview, you really are here to impress and to be convincing. On the interview stage, for APTI, I'll be specific. You have 3 groups. You have people that are representing the African Academy of Sciences. You have a group of people representing the NIH, and then you have a group of people representing the Gates Foundation, because everyone is interviewing you at the same time. So it's usually a big panel. You might be, if you're not used to being interviewed by more than, let's say, 9 people, you'll be shocked, but it is like that. So as I put on the slide, really, if you can try in advance, do some mock interviews with your friends or with colleagues. It doesn't matter. Try to find some people within your field that you can do mock interviews with. Get prepared, get ready. At the time of the interview, you need to be chill and just enjoy yourself. That's from my experience. Just be as natural as possible. Make it clear. You need to be very sincere with what you're saying, along with who you really are and what you can deliver and what you're ready to learn. You don't have to show that you know everything, right? Because it is also having a component of training. So for the training component, you need to be aware that you don't know everything you want to know. So they say that you're ready to learn. Where are your gaps? Bring them out. Be very confident with your limitations, and you should be fine. I don't think there is any big problem with the interview if you're confident with yourself, within yourself. At the end of the day, I don't know how many people apply per year, but it's only 10 people that they're going to select. So it's like, but you will make it if you're very intentional, right? And you came prepared, and you make it. This is not a DEI, it's a tough selection process. And after the interview, if you make it, then there's a next stage where it is now your turn to interview the labs, because then you're now time for you to find labs within the NIH, and then try, this is where you and the labs will align your goals. You interview you, so you can find. I remember when I passed this stage and I reached the point where I needed to select a lab at the NIH. I reached out to 2 labs, and the first that responded was so clear that I was very sure this is love at first. What they say, love at first sight. I knew I was going to this lab already, right? Because the PI in that lab asked me, "Get ready on Tuesday. You're giving us a talk. You have 2 hours." So I was prepared, like more than 50 slides, and I bombard them with that. So yeah, let me close that parenthesis. The thing is, at the interview stage, you really need to come with your A game. Make sure you go through the interview stage with a clear message. Also, the other information that you need to be clear on is that you're going home. You're not here to stay. I mean, you're not in a program like this to stay, even if that is your hidden plan. That is not what you should come on the talk show with, right? You should be clear that you're going home at the end of the process, and this is your plan. This is what you want to do at home, and how does it benefit the home country? You bring this, remember you've written this in your proposal, but now you bring this back again and then explain it during the talk. That is better explained by yourself. Then, of course, this is not necessary, but I thought you could, you want to keep this in mind. You will have a few issues if you've never moved abroad before. You'll have issues with relocating. Some of us have been very lucky that we have been roaming around the world a lot, but some people, it was quite challenging. So be open enough to write to the others, because at the moment that you're given the okay that you're selected, you will now have access to the emails of the other fellows. So feel free to reach out to them. They are Africans, and we have naturally Africans are made, I don't know how to say this, but we are built as very, very people, and people are usually very, very, so just reach out and people will guide you if you need any help. So you need some logistic help. You'll definitely need that. When you join the program, there will be some cultural battle for you, but you will be fine because you're in a pool. You're not like an employment. It is a fellowship, so there is a cohort. So make sure you stick around people for now, and then later enjoy the freedom within your lab, your labs, and build your networks. That is another keyword. You need to start networking as soon as possible. And then the other word that I think is important here is collaboration. As soon as you come here, the first collaborators that you are already the other people within your cohort. These are already your collaborators. I've said this to the people within my cohort that I'm gonna be disturbing them throughout the rest of my career because these are very, very scientists from very different angles. None of them is doing what I do. So this is a chance. There is a love in this diversity, right? And within your lab, you meet new people. You know, people who are been working for long in developed countries, you realize that people are very, work in silos. They are highly specialized. So you might need to learn something from them, but at the same time, remember that you need that skill to go home with. So you don't need to be turned away from your goals. You just want to learn something from them, and then, if possible, collaborate with them when you go home. Keep that going home in mind. And this is the reason why, before the program ends, you need to start seeking for new grants, because the grant that you get to move back from the Gates Foundation, of course, it's okay, but it's not that much. I mean, I'm saying this from my greedy mouth because when you've been on quite many grants in the past, then you realize for sure that this is not enough. So definitely you need to build a team at home. You need a research group or a unit. Some of us are lucky that we have a unit already in home countries, but you definitely need a group that you can support. You want to employ some master's students, right? When you return, you want to be able to employ, maybe if you're lucky enough, a PhD student, why not? And definitely need more money. So this is the time when you get the project as soon as possible, start thinking of for ahead for the future. And that's where my talk ends. And I'll let some of the APTI 3 fellows give you some gist. I'm start with something that Vinny, I asked them to send me stuff. Vinny is a good fellow. She's sent me a very long one, and I had to shorten it. I'm sure she's probably in the call also. So it's that winning a fellowship starts with knowing where to look. So stay updated, engage with mentors, and refine your research ideas. The secret: sell your dream. So everyone has a dream. You need to be clear on your dream, and then that is what you're selling. But of course, not a la la land kind of dream. Make your proposal stand out, and that is what I meant during the expression of interest. It is the proposal. Don't. And another keyword here: rejections. It's likely to come because, I mean, yourself, you look at the success rates. It's 10 people out of how many? I don't know. So probably it's 1% success rate. So you know rejection is there, but it shouldn't be. You should not take it as a failure. You need to improve and try again. I'll share something from Karine. Is another brilliant scientist from Congo, but she works in South Africa. Before you assume you're not qualified, ask. I almost did not apply, but my mentor encouraged me to reach out. And this from a text that Karine sent. So what I understood was Karine almost, when she read it, she thought shouldn't apply because, this is a common thing that most Africans or most of us in academia, we do, right? It's like the self-jeopardizing, where you think you're not good enough, but you should give it a try. And she was lucky she had a mentor that gave her the support to go for it. So you need a positive mindset. Go ahead, sending the application, and also make sure you go through the interview with a very positive mindset. This is from Rita. I put the pictures, but I was late. I was tired and sick. I didn't have the their permissions to do that. So I just put their names left. So before applying, assess if the fellowship aligns with your research. Once you decide, craft a strong statement of purpose and get as many people as possible to revise it. A high quality application is key to success. And this is also why, these are some of the reasons why I said I was good that I actually asked them to give me their experiences so I can put it on the slide. Because, for example, if you look at me, the way I proceeded at the time, I did not even send my application to anyone to read. I was in a busy period. I saw the call. I finally wrote an expression of interest. I sent it in, and then I informed my boss that, hey, I'm sending this. He was like, oh, and then he only said, maybe you should make sure in your letter you make it very clear what you do. Don't just write it as a regular application. I mean, we had a talk, like a 5-minute quick talk by coffee. So I would not advise anyone to do the way I did, but I would definitely advise you to do the way some of these brilliant scientists are saying. So you really need other people to read it for you. Make sure you do, like there was something I said earlier, like do mock interviews if possible. I did not. So as I always said, do not do my way. I'm not well organized with these things, but I asked some of them to chip in, and I've learned a lot from the way they handled the case. This is from Diana, a very talented pediatrician. She said a strong mentor and some very strong referees. And one thing that Diana also said was that she reached out to some of the previous APTI fellows, which is also a good thing. Like that was innovative that I did not think of. Like when she saw the application while she was writing, she tried to reach out to a couple of people, or one person who had gone through the process before and who got it, and they had a talk, and this person probably shaped her way of doing her application. And that is something that you should definitely do for any other grant out there that you're applying for. I really did not know anybody from APTI when I was applying. I was really, do not ever do like me. And yeah, advice from whoever those who walk the path before you. That's really good. Thanks for highlighting that part. And be hungry. I love that word. Be hungry and dare to dream. I think that word dream comes from Vinny also, where she said, sell your dream, right? Yeah, thanks, Diana. Yeah. Thank you, Luria, for highlighting. Oh, I still have a few people coming up. This is from the chief, our chief from Nigeria. Chinedu is this is a very straightforward guy. Align your goals with the fellowship missions. APTI will to train leaders, right? So this is another thing that comes in, and I think if what Chinedu is putting here, it is really what I was saying about the return. That package is what makes APTI different from most fellowships. And since they want you to return, they don't want you to return as another employee in the system. They really want you to be a research group leader, right? Like start an independent career, have a research group at home, and conduct this well. So for you to achieve this, the other thing that you need to keep in mind is the leadership side of the science, which we often forget when we get deeper into science. Here comes a quote from Amadou. So beyond meeting the eligibility, you need to be strategic. So you need to find the right fellowship. It may not be APTI, but find the right fellowship career path, secure strong support letters. So I think Amadou was able to get a support letter both from Home Institute, but also from someone he has been working with already at the NIH. So yeah, this helps. Like if you have a network of people from different countries, make sure you get a letter of recommendations from them. This is going to be very helpful to you in your application. And then you need a team, build a team, train others, and create impacts. The reason why he said that is, and that aligns with myself as well, like during my APTI program here, there is a component of my research that requires sampling from Benin every 3 months. I'm not able to go to Benin every 3 months. The first time I was there, I trained a team, I returned. The following sampling period, I didn't have to go. They did all the sampling and sent me the samples. The samples came, all was clean. And this is actually clinical work. And They're very good, even the controls are looking great, right? And then sometimes I have to go myself, but sometimes they can do it behind me, and that is really important. I need to go quick and finish. So Daniel said you need to craft. This is, for example, one key example of someone who is very experienced, but whose PhD is actually recent, right? I like this earlier. So this is someone who has been in the academic field for quite a long time, but who just completed his PhD within the past 5 years. So you might think you guys are colleagues, but you're not, right? So these are things you need to keep in mind when you're these kind of competitions. So you need to craft your application and align with project. Make it clear that you are an exact candidate, even if your career trajectory is not the usual. What he's trying to say here, like when he say even with an atypical career path, frame it as an asset, sorry. So what he's saying there is exactly in his, you could see that he has been lecturing, doing all very good research, but he didn't have PhD completed by during that time, right? And I think I'll finish with Lobe, who said you need to start early, identify challenges like institutional support. It could be challenging to get this in an African context sometimes. And you need to attend some of the information sessions. And this is also in relationship with what I think Diana also said. You need to know people who have been in the process before, learn from them, and keep an open mind and compare options strategically. I think this word has come up twice again. It was, you need to be strategic before committing. Especially for people who have families, it's a bit challenging. And to close this, I would say yes, some of the words I try to group them here apply strategically. The opportunities are competitive, and it's highly competitive, that is for sure. It's only 10 people, right? It's like the we right before I joined this with my in Benin and then we sent an application to IDRC, the Canadian people, and I remember the first stage, I sent the application in, and the success was 1.5%, and it went through. I was surprised. I did not inform anybody. I just sent it, it went through, and now from the moment I went through, I needed now to be, hey, now this is the time to be serious. So I think we are qualified for the second stage and getting this good money, but now we need to inform people. So I started running in every direction and contacting people. Hey, how do we do this? We need this team. We need people in work package 2. We need people in work package 1, blah, blah, blah. You can go through the competitive stage by chance. I'm not sure, but it will catch up with need for you to bring up your academic skills, and definitely you need collaborators to chip in. So you need mentorship. You need also collaboration. You need network. You need strong networks that can give you feedback in your writing and while writing and submitting stuff. Align your goals. Most of the things people have said that throughout. And you need to prepare both for the application, but also for the interview if you make it to that stage. Some fellowships may not have. Most fellowships will have 2 stages. First, where you go through concept note and then full proposal. And then you might or may not have an interview. But if there is an interview, prepare for it. It is important to and yeah, you need to maintain connections with people abroad from the time you move. And please make sure you go home. It is important. We need you home. We need you in Africa. We know it's tough. You cannot force anybody to go back, but try your best to go home. Even if you're not like fully home, if you can still do some very collaborative work and pull some people out, get them polished and returned into the system, that is already better than nothing. So, Luria, thanks for having me. Those are the, I think, 10 or 11 slides that I try to prepare before we move to the more maybe discussion, which is the part that I love the most. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you so much, Gildas, for the wonderful presentation. You will say your name. You are an end-to-end guy, kind of guy, I think. You cover it all. You cover it all from
Right.
the strong profile, alignment of the goal, the importance of a strong CV, the interview part, and also what's next. Because this is exactly what I'm telling people to do, that if you want to be and succeed in academia or let's say in industry, especially when you come from Africa, you need to become an elite researcher, whatever your league. Even if you're a PhD, a master, you need to have this plan already in mind. And you say it all in a nice way. I think it was easy to understand. Me, I learned a lot. Thank you for sharing the testimonial of your fellow and active fellow colleague. It was so wonderful. I think people are going to come with a question, but while they are watching and thinking, I'm going to start with just one simple question. I think you a lot of how you are doing your grant writing and that you may be not that well organized, but I think you are the kind of people that like pressure but work well under pressure. I'm not sure, but anyway, I wanted to know: have you had some rejection? And if yes, how have you handled your rejection?
I mean, I don't know if there is any scientist who have no rejections.
We can never know. You know,
No,
maybe lucky everywhere. So
I think a rejection rate is like on a yearly basis above 80%.
okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So it is when I'm sending in an application, the first thing I expect is a no, but I'm sending it anyway.
Okay.
Right.
That's good. No, thank you for clarifying that, because the way you are speaking it looks like people can feel like they need to do like you and expecting success directly because you say it so confidently. So I just want to clarify that so people understand that you also fail and fail even more than succeeding.
Yes.
You see. Yes.
And I have a tradition recently where I now share whenever I have a rejection, whether it's a paper or I'll make a screenshot and share. Yeah, I've done that recently because you're right. Like most of the time, people think you're always getting it.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
So 80% of the time you're just winning 20%.
That is the best case scenario. Like sometimes it's less than 20% success rate. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'm opening the floor for the people who have questions. The more courageous can raise their hands and can directly discuss with Gildas. Those who are shy can write in the chat.
You don't have to be shy.
You know, sometimes they're shy because of the language barrier. But Gildas is speaking French, actually. Okay, he's speaking French, so you can speak French and we translate for our English. You don't have question. You know, if you don't have question in the next 9 minutes, we are going to close. I mean, I'm going to be very happy anyway. So that means it was.
I'm sure it is late and you want to go to bed.
Exactly. So if there is no question, I can't see any hand raised. That means you explained very well. Or they didn't understand anything.
Yeah, it's either is right.
Anyway, let me ask another
question.
Blessing. Yes, Blessing the floor.
That's a good name.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Blessing Dogbo, and I really enjoyed your presentation. I learned a lot. And the rejection part is one scary thing that one has to overcome. is very, when you get rejected, you get it at the same time. Anytime I get rejected, I just get withdrawn and it takes a while before I try again. That's the way I feel. My question is, how do you go about preparing your budget? It's always very tedious preparing your budget. The budget aspect is very tedious. You need, I don't know, how do you go about it, preparing your budget, especially when you're writing a proposal? I don't know whether my question is clear enough.
Yeah. No, it's clear. I think one thing in the budget, I'm not a budget expert, but yeah, I've been lucky to write much smaller budget, but also bigger grant budgets. The budget needs to align with the objectives. So the reviewer will see that you're asking for money for something that you have planned to do. So you don't put in a budget item that cannot be traced back in the objective and the methods. So you need to always be very careful. Whatever you're budgeting goes consistently with whatever you've promised to deliver. So every item that has to align with that. So the other thing is, do not. I mean, if you are in the life sciences field, I don't know, there might be some scientists here who are more social anthropology, but if you're in the life sciences, I would always advise you to put more money into consumables because more money in consumables always gives you hand to. Now I'm talking practical. When you're back in the field, when you start working, the whatever goes in the consumable pocket helps you with. It's like you have more freedom in using it. But when you put it on rigid stuff like equipment or salary, then you want to prove that with some very clear. So coming back to this, yes, the budget is a challenging thing. The way I do is to convince the reviewers, the first thing, make sure every budget item that you're putting in has a justification that matches the research objectives, and there is a clear methodological text where we are like, oh, we see you requested that you requested like $10,000 to buy a Minion. What is that for? If I go back in your research document, I can see that you plan to sequence or you plan to do something. There is very clear text that refers me back to this. So there is the budget, and then there is something called research, the justification of budget items. And you need to spend, most people would spend a lot of time writing the proposal, and at the end, they do the budget in a rush. That is why you might encounter in some of the situation that you're mentioning. But if you take your budget as a full component of your proposal and spend time, especially on the budget justification column, there's usually a last column on budget item justification. You will be able yourself to see that there are some items that you're putting in that may a bit floppy, and you want to be very precise, and therefore go back and see in the proposal what it should look like. The tip I gave about consumables is more when after you've gotten the money, it's going to help you. So you need to be aware of that when you're writing the budget. That's all I can say for now. Maybe L'Oreal has something to add to her.
Thank you, Gildas. I think it also depends about the grant funding that you are applying. For some, you may be lucky that you have partner to help you out with the budget also. For others, if you're alone, like the small grants, you need to do like you mentioned, and also be sure that because sometimes like African, when you see the money, you think that you are just going to put all the money on you, and then you see that it's fine. You put 3 lines, it's okay. I'm going to do the sample collection. I'm going to do the lab work. I'm going to do the writing stuff. You can't say it like this, like in bulk. You have to specify exactly in detail that this line, the sample collection, I'm going to collect 300 or 600 samples. I'm planning to have like maybe collecting more to make sure that I'm not mistake. And I'm going to hire people. These 2 people, one is being paid for 1 month, or you have a salary grade that you have to specify. You have to count all these things together. Sometimes even the hours, it's not that you're just putting in bulk. No, you specify everything. You really specify that I'm going to use the bloods for this thing, sampling. You can't, at the end of the day, you say, okay, what I'm doing, when I'm doing sequencing, I say I'm going to sequence 700 isolate. If I'm sequencing home, it's going to cost me the whole budget. I don't have money. So I have to outsource it. And I take the quotation because you don't guess it. You take the quotation, you plan in that, the shipment cost even, that you say, okay, shipment for my isolate to go to there for the sequencing. And then they are costing me $25 or $100 the isolate. And I calculate all these things one by one. You justify one by one. That's what I do. Because if you don't do like it, and you do what, like I saw it in some application of some minerals, the sample collection, 10,000.
No.
Lab work, 5,000, and writing stuff. And then I need the computer aside, so they won't give you the money.
No, they won't.
They know that you're funny, so you're just taking it. And they used to ask, is your budget value for money? So that's the question you're talking about. Is your budget value for money? Are you not going to just waste the money? Are you just not going to do the research? They want to know, are you taking it to eat? Because they know that people are taking money to eat. So when you're putting some stuff that doesn't make sense, they know it's that you're just taking it to eat. So they don't give you the money, even if they have suspicion, because they don't have to get it right. But if they doubt just 5 seconds, that means they don't give it the money. That's all you have to know. Don't be just really careful, because this is a sensitive part. in the budget.
And to emphasize again, stop treating the budget as the last thing you do before you submit. You always fail.
You always do that at the last time. I'm sorry about that. But it's difficult because when you do that at the end, you are in fact in trouble because sometimes what you put in the budget does not fit. And you have to go back up to say, okay, I've said I was collecting 500, I have to reduce it again. And now you are struggling because you are out of time. So you are right. You are right, but it's really complicated sometimes. I don't know if you answer your question, Blessing.
Yes. Actually, usually prepare my budget last. Usually the last thing I prepare, and I get mumbo jumbo everything. Sometimes I get confused. So I understand the whole thing. Thank you very much.
And you have a good name, by the way, Blessing. That's a nice name.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So
I think I'll try to pronounce yours.
Sorry?
I'll try to pronounce yours.
No, that's too difficult. You could just say Yaobi. I think it's easier.
It's easier for me. So,
but I mean, if you're a French speaker, I think Shildas is much easier.
So there's someone from a team, Nelly. Nelly is asking, please, about building the strong profile. Please, can you provide concrete example about how to use social media?
Ooh, I think Luya is the best when at answering that one. Like, how to use social media? No. Let me not be an imposter.
No, don't to me. Say it to Nelly because she took my courses. So I want to know your profile. How you use it now?
Oh yeah. Okay. How do I use it? I use it to put up any updates about my works. I used to dance a lot on Facebook. I mean, I'm an active guy, right? I used to do a lot of drumming and dancing. That was for my Facebook. But then I created an outreach page on Facebook that I use for research. But my personal profile on Facebook is still for my funny stuff. But yeah, I use LinkedIn to keep up every update, and also Twitter. But I think I stopped. I'm quite lazy on that. But when I strong profile, I'm not just talking about social media, right? I'm talking about your profile. Like when anybody touches you as a researcher and they shake you, they should feel you. That's what I meant. And then using the social media is more like the putting it up there for people to see and know, and also for yourself to be in that pool of the global village where you can easily see what people are talking about, what people are doing, who to reach out to. You really need to be out there and talk to people. I think it is gone are the days where we think they used to call it bragging. Like when you put anything on social media, they'll be like, oh, you're just bragging about your research. But that's not true. It's not bragging. It is really an outreach. And we need just to deconstruct that. But yeah, how to best use social media, I think I'll let you answer that.
Thank you. Thank you. What you say about saying that it's just about you. You as a researcher, they should feel you. It's what I call the personal brand. So you are not different from your life than personal life, than social life. So it's actually you, and you're just showing yourself out to the world so that yourself in your vicinity, in your research lab, can reach someone else and impact the life of the other person. That's how I use it. So I'm not using it like for bragging, if you say. I think that this is something that affected me 4 years or 5 years ago. While people were doing it online, it has an impact on me. They didn't know that it has an impact on me, but it has, and it's something in me that allow me to move forward and create something else. So I think that when you understand who you are, when you understand what you want to create, what you want to give to the world, you understand that you cannot be shy to tell your story, because your story is there to inspire someone else to take action in his own life and then serve also the community. That's why I'm doing that. I'm shaping a better future for all. That with my action, I hope it will inspire other people so that they are also contributing better. And I think scientists are those who can shape or have the largest impact in the world and contribute to a better future for everyone. They are not football players who are going to change the world. Like we like football players.
No, I don't agree.
They're not shaping the world. They're not shaping the world. They're making it entertainment. They're making us being happy. I love the football like you, but I don't think they are shaping the world, because if scientists
we're definitely going to fight about that.
Don't say that you're a fan of Barcelona. Don't.
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. We're not going to the fight. So I just think that the scientists, when they are really fulfilled, they can save community, they can create new technology, like the one you are doing. You're creating machine, you're creating stuff that can directly save people. And you can inspire someone with your own story, because the way you are is completely different from the way I am. And the way Nelly is now is completely different from other people. Same for Blessing. So if you stand out and say, okay, this is my story, this is what I stand for, this is what I care for, and I think someone out there need to understand me, need to hear this story, because it can help him or her change his own life. If then you share your story and also your papers, your success, your failure, like you are saying, because this is part of life. We are not saying to share everything, but at least those that you feel that is important to help other people. And like you say, it's a personal brand. It's you inside there or outside there. It's the same person. There should not be different person. So that's me, how I do that. Concrete example, like you have a platform for teaching, I have a platform, YouTube, for inspiring people. I have this platform for inspiring scientists. I have another platform for training people. So you share your action throughout the life. If you are going in high school, or if you are mentoring people, or if you're in the lab, you kind of success. Just highlight that success. No one is supposed to like it, but at least if give evidence that you are an active researcher. When they Google you, they should see that you're an active researcher.
Right.
If they don't say anything, it's like, is this person really a real person? Because how can she be 30 or 26 not having interaction online?
Right.
So we are talking about your profile. So that's what I think. I don't know if you want, like, write this message, Nelly. I don't know how you want the concrete example to be now about writing this. I don't know.
But
Yes.
sorry, I just wanted to also say one more thing. Sometimes some people may not be very good at self-advocacy, right?
Yeah.
But you could also go through, if you have a good team, like, for example, a team I belong to in Benin, the UMAFA.
Yeah.
We have a very strong communication brand, I would say, that if you're not able to share your own updates, you could share through, like, if you want to hide behind exactly, then if some of you might have seen on LinkedIn, Facebook, UMAFA updates almost all the time, and then it do, like, usually it's Victoria himself behind the scene publishing things that every scientist are doing in the lab, right? Like when it has done something or has traveled, is doing something, then you send it to the management team, and then they publish it for you. But in one way or another, whether you're doing on the personal side or through your team's page, you definitely need to find your channel.
Yeah, that's a great addition, I think. Yeah, because social, like the group or the network, some people entering network and they have been showcased there also.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied, Nelly, about the answer?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great. So you have just been hearing women. I don't think guys don't want to ask you a question. They will reach out to you maybe. Is it there's from Chisom? Is it Chisom? God's will?
I think we are having our first guy.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Oh, good evening. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I need to speak for the guys. I need to speak.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Yovi. Sorry if I didn't get the name right. Thank you so much. I just wanted to appreciate you. I'm currently doing my PhD. I'm in my third year already, preparing for my final defense. So I would like to proceed for a postdoc immediately. I want to give space. And I would like to, I'm in Nigeria now. I would like to do it in, maybe in Canada or in the US. So, and I have passion for cancer research. In short, I'm doing cancer epidemiology now, doing a very novel study here in Nigeria. So I just wanted to say thank you. And how do we contact you in case for person probably? I don't want to disturb you. I know you're very busy, but maybe to keep up with as mentor. I don't know. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I actually had my contacts on the first page, but I think Toluria can also share them, and I can just keep one email in the chat later. But just one thing, please don't go and stay. If you make it to, I think you have an interest in Canada or the US for your postdoc.
Yeah.
Make sure you transition back. I know it's hard. It's a hard thing to ask, but try it. Okay? Did what I'm was?
Yeah, I love my country.
I know. I mean, we all do. We all do. It becomes a bit tricky once we get out to go back. But even if you cannot go back in person, if you can try to have a link. I don't know for you, Loria, but I've met so many super from our continent in different institutions outside, and what hurts me is they don't have any link with home. I'm not saying go home, but have a link. Like have that, even if it's once a year, there is some collaboration going on or some teaching that you do, something. I don't know why it's so difficult, even for that simple thing with the internet age. I don't know.
Thank you, Gildas. I think we don't have any other question. I share your email, professional email in the chat for those who.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There's
Thank you.
I think there's one question now from Remy. We are closing in 4 minutes. For a
Right.
student in master program, what is the right time to start preparing his application so that it is ready just after graduation? What is the place of publication during the process?
Yeah, okay. Maybe from the last point, publications are necessary. It's like the currency of research, unfortunately. I mean, there are so many other things, metrics that we could have used, but for some reason, some of our forefathers or foremothers have decided that publication should be the currency. So yes, it's unfortunate for some people, especially when you're in developing countries where it's hard to get some very good papers in high quality journals. But publications have become like the main currency to showcase that. Like it's like when you write a CV, right, and you say, I can do this experiment. The only thing that the reviewer want to see is, do you have a paper that proves it, that you have done this before? Even if you're the main technician in the lab for the past 10 years, you've been the one doing it for the students, but you don't have a paper to show it. They just don't believe it until they can see a paper, unfortunately. So yeah, application, try your best to get some. And what is the right time to start preparing applications? I think, I don't know how best to answer this, but I think every application is tailored to every call. So you might have some bulk document that this is what you want to do for the next 10 years. This is your research interest, and you have that document with you. And then whenever there is a call, you take the call and try to align and then write a new application tailored specifically to that call. But I think for every call that you see, try to start writing early. That is all I can say. I don't think there is a time specific to start preparing an application. The main thing is whenever you see a call, read the call thoroughly and try to make sure you can align with that call. It's like answering a call. That's why they call it a call, right? So you're answering to the call. So try and align and then start writing early as soon as you see the call. And having a bulk project idea helps doing that faster. But sometimes as a scientist, you also want to be innovative and step out, go into new zones, out of your comfort zone. So you may not even have anything. Like a few years back, I did nothing with climate change. Most of my stuff were just direct, usual environmental health. But over, you see some of these calls are very specific about climate change that we now need to align ourselves to that. So yes, I don't think there is a specific time to start writing an application. You can have your own applications or your own write-up sitting on your desk. But whenever you see call, read the call thoroughly and answer that call specifically. That's what I can say, Remy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gildas. Shizam, is it the new question? A new answer or another
Yeah,
hand?
just a quick one. Before I leave, Prof, it must be that you should be the first author in all your publications. Like, for example,
Oh, no.
I have up to 40 publications now. but I'm barely second, third author. I used to be a biostatistician, so when I analyze project, I publish with the research team. So that's how I've been publishing and publishing. So for the postdoc application, do you need the ones that you are strictly the first author or the corresponding author? Does it work that way?
In life sciences, we believe in co-authorship. In other fields, it's usually one person publishing, right? So yes, it will be good to have some personal, like first author papers or last author, depending on what you are. But for a postdoc, it will be good to have at least one from your PhD work where you are the lead author, or at least shared first with someone. To keep it short, I would say we believe in shared authorship. So that means that whenever you're a co-author, it is already a valid work for you. But if you're specifically for postdoc applications, someone would love to see what work have you led as first author from your PhD. I don't know. What think, Gloria?
No, I agree. I to add is co-authorship as far as you are in the, we call it what? Or do you call it the good one of authorship, 1 to 1 second or maximum third, and senior author, like you mentioned. But if you are right in the middle across 40 persons, that may be problematic. But I think second author, at least you know that you've contributed at least to quite maybe 50% of the work. But if you are just middle, they won't consider it. And like you say, postdoc, you definitely need to know that you have hands of something from the end to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Gildas. I have a final question before we go. I know you are tired. I know you are sick. Just one question, and it's up to you to answer in one sentence. If you had just one sentence to mentor an aspiring APTI applicant today, what would be the ultimate advice? The one thing they must do to increase their success chance?
Very, very nice question. I don't think there's one thing I would say, but definitely I would tell them to spend a lot of time on the CV and the expression of interest. Yeah, that is the thing. That is, it's the hardcore, because that is where you get them on the hook, and then during the interview, now you sell yourself better. But the stage where you're not there, what speaks for you is your CV and your expression of interest, and you really want to give it your A game.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gildas. Yep. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your time also. I hope you have enjoyed, we have appreciated, and we are very happy. Nelly, is it a question?
No, I think they're clapping.
No. I want to clap.
Okay. Thank you so much. We hope you have enjoyed. Stay connected for our next event. Next week, you're not going to have we are not going to have grants. We are going to have bioinformatics. For those who would like to join us, we have an expert coming to discuss at Day 2 Africa Academy this time. It's going to be only in French. I'm sorry for the it's going to be only in French, in live, in LinkedIn, and YouTube, and Facebook maybe. So we are very happy to have you, and hopefully you will get better and succeed a lot of fellowship thanks to the advice of Gildas, and thanks to Dare to Dream for Africa. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.